Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Science channel. Tonight we'll be venturing into the emerald embrace of the rainforest, a place filled with life, with wonder, and endless mysteries. Around us are the usual sights, the towering trees, the rustling leaves, and the creatures we're all familiar with. But there is so much more than meets the eye. Some of the plants we see have survived for millions of years, their ancestors shading dinosaurs. A simple vine may contain medicines, yet undiscovered, and the gentle call of a bird may be a language no human has ever deciphered. The rainforest is both familiar and spectacular, something we know of, yet never ceases to amaze. If you enjoy these quiet explorations, I invite you to like and subscribe or share a simple thought down in the comments. It helps others find their way here too, one sleepy soul at a time. But for now, all you need to do is rest, settle in, and allow the calm of the rainforest to carry you. Let's begin. Rainforests cover less than 6% of Earth's surface, yet hold half of all species. When you step into a rainforest, you enter one of the most crowded neighborhoods on the planet. Though these emerald forests occupy only a small fraction of Earth's land, they are home to an astonishing diversity of life. More than half of all plant and animal species on our world live within these verdant walls. Scientists estimate that a single hectare of rainforest can contain more tree species than all of North America. The canopy above buzzes with insects, birds, and mammals, while the forest floor teems with fungi, invertebrates, and microorganisms. This incredible concentration of life exists because rainforests offer warmth, moisture, and stability, conditions that have remained relatively unchanged for millions of years. To walk through these forests is to witness evolution's greatest experiment, a living museum where biodiversity reaches its absolute peak. The Amazon rainforest produces 20% of the world's oxygen. Deep in South America, the Amazon rainforest breathes. Its vast expanse of trees, covering an area nearly as large as the continental United States, acts as one of Earth's lungs. Through photosynthesis, billions of leaves convert carbon dioxide into oxygen, releasing it into the atmosphere. Scientists estimate that the Amazon produces about 20% of the oxygen in our air. Each breath you take may contain molecules generated by a tree thousands of miles away, standing in soil enriched by countless generations of fallen leaves. The forest also stores immense amounts of carbon, keeping it locked away from the atmosphere. This makes the Amazon not just a source of oxygen, but a crucial regulator of our planet's climate. To know that distant trees are breathing with us, sharing the same air, connects us to a forest most of us will never see. Yet we are all sustained by its quiet work. Rainforests have existed for at least 70 million years, long before humans walked the earth. Rainforests already covered vast regions of the tropics. Fossil evidence suggests these forests have thrived for at least 70 million years, enduring through ice ages, continental drift, and mass extinctions. When dinosaurs roamed the planet, rainforests provided shelter and food for countless species. After the asteroid impact that ended the age of reptiles, rainforests recovered and continued to flourish. Their resilience comes from their complexity. With so many species interwoven in delicate relationships, the forest can adapt to changes that would devastate simpler ecosystems. Trees that stood in these forests millions of years ago had descendants that shaded early mammals, then primates, and eventually the first humans. To walk through a rainforest today is to step into a lineage of life that stretches back through deep time. These are not new forests, but ancient ones, survivors of epochs we can barely imagine. Some rainforest trees tower over 200 feet into the sky. The rainforest is a vertical world, layered like a cake. At the very top, emerging giants break through the canopy, their crowns reaching heights of 200 feet or more. These emergent trees stand alone, exposed to full sunlight and strong winds. Their massive trunks are often buttressed at the base, spreading roots that anchor them against storms. From the forest floor, they are difficult to see in their entirety, hidden by the dense vegetation below. But from above, they dominate the landscape, their broad crowns providing perches for eagles and harpy hawks. These giants are often hundreds of years old, having grown slowly through the competitive understory before finally breaking into the light. To stand beneath one is humbling. You are looking at a living structure, taller than most buildings, grown without blueprints or machinery, shaped only by sunlight, water, and time. Each one is a monument to patience and persistence. The canopy layer holds more life than all other layers combined. High above the forest floor, a hidden world exists. The canopy, a dense layer of interlocking branches and leaves, is where the majority of rainforest life resides. Sunlight filters through in dappled patches, creating a warm, humid environment perfect for countless species. Monkeys swing from branch to branch, birds build nests in the crooks of limbs, and insects by the millions crawl, fly, and burrow. Many canopy creatures never descend to the ground, spending their entire lives in the treetops. Epiphytes, plants that grow on other plants, cover every available surface, their roots dangling in the air or wrapping around branches. The canopy is so rich and complex that scientists are still discovering new species there. Some researchers spend weeks living in platforms suspended among the branches, observing life that few humans ever witness. To imagine the canopy is to picture an entire ecosystem floating above the earth, a green ocean of leaves teeming with hidden wonders. Epiphytes grow on trees without harming them, drawing moisture from the air. In the rainforest, not all plants need soil. Epiphytes, also called air plants, anchor themselves to the trunks and branches of trees, living far above the ground. They do not parasitize their hosts, but simply use them as platforms to reach sunlight. Their roots absorb moisture directly from the humid air and collect nutrients from rainwater and decomposing leaves that accumulate in bark crevices. Orchids, bromeliads, and ferns are among the most common epiphytes, adding layers of color and texture to the forest. Some bromeliads form tiny pools of water in their leaf bases, creating miniature ecosystems where frogs lay eggs and insects breed. These aerial gardens transform the forest into a three-dimensional tapestry, where life exists not just on the ground, but at every level of the trees. To see a tree covered in epiphytes is to realize that a single trunk can support hundreds of other lives, all coexisting without competition. Strangler figs begin life as epiphytes, but eventually engulf their host trees. Among the most dramatic plants in the rainforest are strangler figs. They start, innocently enough, as seeds deposited by birds in the crook of a tree branch. The seedling sends roots downward, thin tendrils that descend through the air until they reach the soil. Once anchored, the fig grows rapidly, sending more roots around the host tree's trunk. Over decades, these roots thicken and fuse, forming a lattice that slowly encloses the original tree. The fig's canopy spreads above, blocking sunlight from its host. Eventually, the host tree dies and rots away, leaving the fig standing as a hollow tower of interwoven roots. Though the process seems sinister, it is simply survival. The fig needed height to reach sunlight, and the host tree provided it. What remains is a testament to patience and competition, a living sculpture shaped by time and growth. Buttress roots stabilize massive trees in shallow rainforest soil. In the rainforest, soil is often shallow and nutrient-poor. Organic matter decomposes quickly in the heat and humidity, and heavy rains wash nutrients away before they can accumulate. To compensate, many large trees develop buttress roots, wide, flat extensions that spread out from the base of the trunk, like the fins of a rocket. These structures provide stability, anchoring the tree against strong winds and preventing it from toppling under its own weight. Buttress roots can extend dozens of feet from the trunk, creating natural walls and caverns at the forest floor. They are often so large that a person can stand between them, sheltered by their curved surfaces. For the tree, they are essential. Without deep soil to anchor in, the tree must spread its support outward. For visitors, they are among the rainforest's most iconic sights, reminding us that even giants need a firm foundation. The forest floor is dim, receiving only 2% of sunlight. Beneath the towering trees and dense canopy, the forest floor exists in perpetual twilight. Only about 2% of the sunlight that strikes the canopy reaches the ground. This lack of light shapes everything. The understory is filled with shade-tolerant plants, many with large dark green leaves to capture every available photon. Fungi thrive here, decomposing fallen logs and leaves, recycling nutrients back into the ecosystem. The air is still and humid, thick with the scent of decay and growth. Animal life on the forest floor is often secretive. Creatures that move silently through the shadows, tapirs, jaguars, and peccaries, leave tracks in the soft earth, while insects scuttle beneath layers of leaf litter. To walk across the forest floor is to move through a world of whispers, where life persists quietly in the absence of light. It is a place of patience, where growth is slow but steady, and survival depends on adaptation. Leaf litter decomposes rapidly, recycled by countless organisms. In temperate forests, fallen leaves may lie on the ground for months or even years, but in the rainforest, they vanish quickly. The warm, humid conditions create an ideal environment for decomposers. Fungi send out networks of thread-like hyphae, breaking down tough plant fibers. bacteria consume simpler compounds, releasing nutrients into the soil. Termites, beetles, and millipedes chew through leaves, speeding the process. Within weeks, a fallen leaf is reduced to fragments, and within months, it is gone entirely, its nutrients absorbed by roots or washed away by rain. This rapid recycling is essential. Because rainforest soil is poor, the forest depends on a constant supply of fresh nutrients from decomposing matter. The speed of this cycle is astonishing. A tree may shed its leaves, and those same nutrients may be taken up by the tree again before a year has passed. The forest is a closed loop, endlessly renewing itself. Some rainforest trees drop their leaves all at once to conserve water. Though rainforests are wet, not all parts receive constant rainfall. In seasonal rainforests, there are dry periods when rain becomes scarce. To survive, some trees have evolved to shed their leaves all at once, reducing water loss through transpiration. This sudden defoliation can transform sections of the forest, turning green canopies brown and bare within days. But the trees are not dying, they are resting, conserving their resources until the rains return. When moisture arrives again, the trees burst into new growth, their branches covered in fresh, bright green leaves. This cycle gives the forest a rhythm, a pulse of growth and dormancy. For the animals that depend on these trees, the timing is crucial. Fruit eaters must find other food sources during the dry season, and many migrate to areas where food is still available. The forest, it turns out, is not static but constantly changing. Rainforests create their own rain through transpiration. The relationship between rainforests and rain is more intimate than it might seem. Trees do not just depend on rain, they create it. Through transpiration, trees release water vapor from their leaves into the air. In a large forest, billions of leaves release moisture constantly, humidifying the atmosphere above. This moisture rises, cools, and condenses into clouds, which then release rain back onto the forest. Scientists estimate that in the Amazon, up to half of the rainfall is generated by the forest itself. This means the rainforest is a self-sustaining system, a green engine that drives its own weather. If too many trees are removed, the cycle weakens. Less transpiration means less moisture, less rain, and eventually less forest. The trees and the rain are partners, each sustaining the other in a delicate balance. To preserve the forest is to preserve the rain, and to preserve the rain is to preserve the forest. The Amazon River carries more water than the next 7 largest rivers combined. Flowing through the heart of the Amazon rainforest is the world's mightiest river. The Amazon carries an astonishing volume of water, more than the next 7 largest rivers on Earth combined. During the rainy season, it can discharge over 300,000 cubic meters of water into the Atlantic Ocean every second. This immense flow shapes the landscape, carving channels, flooding forests, and depositing sediments across vast floodplains. The river is fed by over 1,000 tributaries, some of which are themselves among the world's largest rivers. Together, they drain an area nearly as large as Australia. The Amazon is not just a river, but a network, a liquid highway that connects mountains to ocean, forest to sea. For the creatures of the rainforest, it is a lifeline, providing water, transportation, and food. To see it is to witness one of nature's grandest spectacles, a river so vast it feels more like an inland sea. Flooded forests create unique aquatic ecosystems for part of the year. In the Amazon basin, the river does not stay within its banks. Every year, seasonal rains cause the water to rise, sometimes by as much as 30 feet. Forests that were dry land become submerged, transforming into flooded woodlands known as varzea or igapo, depending on the water's source. Fish swim among the trees, feeding on fallen fruits and seeds. Dolphins navigate through the submerged forest, hunting for prey. Caimans lurk in the shaded waters beneath branches. This seasonal flooding creates a unique ecosystem, one that exists only part of the year. Trees have adapted to survive months with their roots underwater, and many produce fruit timed to ripen during the flood, when fish can disperse their seeds. When the waters recede, the forest floor is enriched with nutrients deposited by the river. The cycle of flooding and drying shapes life in these forests, creating rhythms that have persisted for thousands of years. River dolphins navigate murky waters using echolocation. In the Amazon and other great rainforest rivers, dolphins have adapted to life in fresh water. Unlike their ocean cousins, river dolphins are often pink or gray, with long, slender beaks filled with sharp teeth. They inhabit waters so murky that sight is nearly useless, so they rely on echolocation to navigate and hunt. Clicking sounds pulse from their heads, bouncing off fish, submerged logs, and riverbanks, creating a sonic map of their surroundings. These dolphins are graceful despite their unusual appearance, weaving through flooded forests and narrow channels with ease. Indigenous people have long regarded them with reverence, weaving them into myths and legends. Some stories say they can transform into humans and walk on land. In reality, they are perfectly adapted to their environment, masters of a world where vision fails but sound reveals everything. To hear their clicks echoing through the water is to know the river has its own language. Piranhas are often misunderstood, rarely attacking humans. Piranhas have a fearsome reputation, their sharp teeth and powerful jaws the subject of countless stories. But in reality, these fish are far less dangerous than popular culture suggests. Most piranha species are opportunistic feeders, eating fish, insects, and plants. They are scavengers as often as they are hunters, playing an important role in cleaning the river of dead and dying animals. Attacks on humans are extremely rare and usually occur only when the fish are starving or defending their nests. In their natural habitat, piranhas are cautious, even timid, fleeing from larger animals. Indigenous people swim in piranha-filled waters without fear, understanding the fish's true nature. Piranhas are a reminder that reputations can be misleading. Behind the legend is a creature simply trying to survive, using the tools evolution gave it. Sharp teeth are not always a sign of aggression, but of adaptation to a challenging environment. Electric eels can generate shocks of over 600 volts. In the murky rivers and streams of the Amazon, a remarkable predator lurks. The electric eel, despite its name, is not an eel at all, but a type of knifefish. It can generate powerful electrical discharges, some exceeding 600 volts. enough to stun a horse or knock a human off their feet. The eel uses this ability to hunt, sending out pulses that paralyze fish and other prey. It also uses weaker electrical signals for navigation and communication, much like the river dolphins. Most of its body is dedicated to producing electricity, with specialized cells called electrocytes arranged in stacks like batteries. When the eel wants to discharge, these cells fire simultaneously, creating a powerful jolt. Despite their formidable ability, electric eels are generally reclusive, preferring to avoid confrontation. They are a testament to the strange and wonderful adaptations that life can evolve when pressed by the challenges of a unique environment. Anacondas are among the largest snakes in the world. In the rivers and swamps of the Amazon lives one of the world's most impressive reptiles. The green anaconda can grow to lengths of over 20 feet and weigh more than 200 pounds, making it one of the heaviest snakes on Earth. Unlike venomous snakes, anacondas are constrictors, wrapping their powerful bodies around prey and squeezing until the animal can no longer breathe. They are ambush predators, lying in wait beneath the water's surface, only their eyes and nostrils exposed. When a capybara, deer, or caiman comes to drink, the anaconda strikes with surprising speed, dragging its prey into the water. Though they are formidable hunters, anacondas are not aggressive toward humans and will usually retreat if given the chance. To see one in the wild is rare, as they are masters of camouflage, their patterned skin blending perfectly with the dappled light and shadows of the water. They are the silent giants of the rainforest rivers. Capybaras are the world's largest rodents, living in groups near water. Along the riverbanks and marshes of South America, groups of capybaras gather. These gentle giants are the largest rodents in the world, weighing up to 140 pounds. They are semi-aquatic, spending much of their time in or near water to escape predators and stay cool. Capybaras are social animals, living in groups of 10 to 20 individuals, though during the dry season, groups can swell to over 100. They communicate through a variety of sounds, including purrs, barks, and whistles. Their diet consists mainly of grasses and aquatic plants, which they graze on throughout the day. Despite their size, they are vulnerable to predators like jaguars, caimans, and anacondas, so they rely on group vigilance for protection. Capybaras are also remarkably tolerant, often seen with birds perched on their backs, eating insects from their fur. They are a peaceful presence in the rainforest, embodying a kind of calm coexistence. Jaguars are the apex predators of the rainforest. In the shadows of the rainforest, the jaguar moves like liquid gold. This powerful cat is the largest predator in the Americas, a solitary hunter with a muscular build and a bite strong enough to crush the skull of its prey. Unlike other big cats, jaguars are comfortable in water and are excellent swimmers, often hunting caimans and turtles along riverbanks. Their spotted coat provides perfect camouflage among the dappled light and shade of the forest floor. Jaguars are opportunistic, preying on everything from deer and peccaries to monkeys and fish. They are also deeply symbolic, revered by indigenous cultures as spirits of strength and mystery. Despite their power, Jaguars are elusive, avoiding humans whenever possible. To glimpse one in the wild is a rare privilege, a moment where the forest reveals one of its most magnificent secrets. They are the embodiment of the rainforest's wild heart. Sloths move so slowly that algae grows on their fur. High in the canopy, sloths live life at their own pace. These slow-moving mammals spend most of their time hanging upside down from branches, their long claws hooked securely around the wood. They are so inactive that algae grows on their fur, giving them a greenish tint that helps them blend into the foliage. This algae is not a burden, but a symbiotic relationship. It provides camouflage, and in return, the sloth's fur provides a home for the algae and the insects that feed on it. Sloths descend to the forest floor only about once a week to defecate, a risky journey that exposes them to predators. Why they do this, rather than simply releasing waste from the trees, is still a mystery. Despite their slowness, sloths are well adapted to their environment. Their low metabolism allows them to survive on a diet of leaves, which are difficult to digest and low in energy. They are a reminder that speed is not always necessary for success. Harpy eagles are among the most powerful raptors in the world. At the top of the rainforest food chain, the harpy eagle reigns supreme. This magnificent bird is one of the largest and most powerful eagles on Earth, with talons the size of grizzly bear claws and a grip strong enough to crush bones. Harpy eagles hunt monkeys and sloths, plucking them from the canopy with astonishing precision. They are masters of the forest, navigating through dense branches with agility despite their size. Their striking appearance, with a black and white body and a prominent feathered crest, makes them unmistakable. Yet they are rarely seen, as they are solitary and their populations are scattered across vast territories. Harpy eagles mate for life and build enormous nests high in the tallest trees, returning to the same nest year after year. To witness a harpy eagle in flight is to see power and grace combined, a predator perfectly suited to the vertical world of the rainforest. Poison dart frogs warn predators with brilliant colors. Among the leaf litter and low vegetation, tiny jewels hop and crawl. Poison dart frogs are some of the most brightly colored creatures in the rainforest. Their skins, painted in vivid reds, blues, yellows, and greens. These colors are not for beauty but for survival. They are a warning to predators that the frog's skin contains potent toxins. The poison comes from the insects the frogs eat, and in captivity, where their diet is different, they lose their toxicity. Indigenous people once used the frog's poison to coat the tips of their blow darts, hence the name. Despite their danger, these frogs are delicate, requiring specific humidity and temperature conditions to survive. Each species has its own unique pattern, and some are found only in tiny, isolated pockets of forest. To see one is to glimpse a creature that is both beautiful and deadly, a small but powerful reminder of nature's creativity. Glass frogs have transparent skin revealing their internal organs. In the misty cloud forests and lowland rainforests, an extraordinary amphibian makes its home. The glass frog has skin so transparent that you can see its internal organs, including its heart, liver, and eggs. This translucence provides camouflage, making the frog difficult to spot against the green leaves where it rests. When viewed from below, predators see only the outline of organs that blend with the dappled light. Glass frogs are small, usually no larger than a coin, and they live near streams where they lay their eggs on the underside of leaves overhanging water. When the tadpoles hatch, they drop into the stream below. The males are devoted parents, guarding the eggs from predators and keeping them moist. Despite their fragility, glass frogs have survived in some of the most remote and pristine areas of the rainforest. They are a testament to the endless variations life can take, a reminder that even skin can be a window. Leafcutter ants cultivate underground fungus gardens. Across the forest floor, rivers of green move steadily through the undergrowth. Leafcutter ants march in long lines, each carrying a piece of leaf many times its own size. But these ants do not eat the leaves. Instead, they carry them underground to their vast colonies, where the leaves are chewed into a pulp and used to cultivate fungus. The fungus grows on the decomposing leaf matter, and the ants harvest it as their primary food source. This relationship is one of the most sophisticated examples of agriculture in the animal kingdom. The ants tend their gardens carefully, removing competing fungi and maintaining optimal conditions. In return, the fungus provides a steady supply of nutrition. A single colony can contain millions of ants and consume enormous amounts of vegetation, playing a significant role in nutrient cycling. To watch leafcutter ants at work is to witness a civilization beneath your feet, organized and efficient. Army ants move in massive colonies, overwhelming prey with sheer numbers. Unlike leafcutter ants, which build permanent nests, army ants are nomadic. They travel in swarms that can number in the hundreds of thousands, moving across the forest floor in a relentless wave. Everything in their path, from insects to small vertebrates, is attacked and consumed. The ants work together with terrifying efficiency, their sheer numbers overwhelming even well-defended prey. At night, they form temporary nests called bivouacs, clinging to each other in a living ball that can contain the queen and her brood. When the colony is ready to move, the ball dissolves and the march continues. Birds often follow army ant swarms, snatching up insects that flee from the advancing horde. Though they are feared by many creatures, army ants are an essential part of the rainforest ecosystem, controlling insect populations and recycling nutrients. Their relentless movement is a reminder that in the rainforest, survival often depends on cooperation and numbers. Bullet ants deliver one of the most painful stings in the insect world. Deep in the rainforest, a small black ant goes about its business in the trees. But anyone who disturbs it quickly learns why it is called the bullet ant. Its sting is considered one of the most painful experiences in the natural world, described as feeling like being shot. The pain can last for hours or even days, accompanied by swelling and trembling. Indigenous people in some cultures use bullet ant stings as a rite of passage, weaving the ants into gloves that young men must wear as a test of endurance. Despite their fearsome defense, bullet ants are not aggressive unless threatened. They feed on nectar and small insects, playing a role in pollination and pest control. The pain they inflict is purely defensive, a warning to anything that might consider them prey. In a world full of dangers, the bullet ant has evolved one of nature's most effective deterrents. Orchids have evolved intricate relationships with specific pollinators. In the rainforest, orchids bloom in astonishing variety, their flowers shaped into forms that seem almost artistic. But these shapes are not for human appreciation. They are designed to attract specific pollinators, often a single species of bee, moth, or hummingbird. Some orchids mimic the appearance and scent of female insects, tricking males into attempting to mate with the flower and inadvertently transferring pollen. Others produce nectar in deep tubes that only certain long-tongued pollinators can reach. This specialization ensures that pollen is transferred efficiently, but it also makes orchids vulnerable. If their pollinator disappears, the orchid cannot reproduce. These intricate relationships are examples of co-evolution, where two species evolve together, each shaping the other over millions of years. To see an orchid in bloom is to glimpse a partnership written in petals and scent, a story of dependence and adaptation. Some flowers bloom for only a single night. In the rainforest, timing is everything. Some plants produce flowers that bloom for only a few hours, often opening at night to attract nocturnal pollinators like bats and moths. These flowers are typically white or pale, making them visible in the darkness, and they emit strong, sweet fragrances that drift through the humid air. By morning, the flowers have wilted, their brief window of opportunity closed. This strategy ensures that pollinators visit when they are most active, maximizing the chances of successful pollination. For the plant, it is a gamble. If conditions are not right, or if pollinators are scarce, the effort is wasted. But in the competitive world of the rainforest, even a single night of blooming can be enough to ensure the next generation. These ephemeral flowers are reminders that beauty need not last long to be meaningful. Bromeliads hold tiny pools of water that support entire ecosystems. High in the canopy, bromeliads gather rainwater in the cups formed by their overlapping leaves. These tiny pools, sometimes holding no more than a few cups of water, become miniature ecosystems. Mosquito larvae wriggle in the water, dragonfly nymphs hunt them, and frogs lay their eggs in the safety of these aerial ponds. Bacteria and algae grow, forming the base of a food web. Some species of frogs spend their entire lives in these pools, never descending to the ground. The bromeliads benefit too, as the waste from these creatures provides nutrients that the plant absorbs through its leaves. This relationship is another example of the rainforest's complexity, where every niche is filled and every opportunity exploited. A single tree may host dozens of bromeliads, each one a tiny world unto itself. To peer into one is to glimpse a universe in miniature. Hummingbirds can beat their wings up to 80 times per second. Among the flowers and vines, tiny birds hover like jewels. Hummingbirds are among the smallest birds in the world, some weighing less than a penny. Despite their size, they are incredibly powerful, capable of feats of flight that seem impossible. Their wings beat so fast they create a humming sound, sometimes reaching 80 beats per second. This allows them to hover in place, fly backwards, and even upside down. They feed on nectar, using long, specialized tongues to reach deep into flowers. In the process, they pollinate the plants, transferring pollen from bloom to bloom. Hummingbirds have extremely high metabolisms, requiring them to eat almost constantly. At night, they enter a state of torpor, lowering their body temperature and heart rate to conserve energy. To watch a hummingbird feed is to see grace and power in miniature, a tiny engine of life moving at speeds almost too fast to follow. Toucans use their large beaks to regulate body temperature. With their oversized, colorful beaks, toucans are among the most recognizable birds of the rainforest. But these beaks are not just for show. They serve multiple purposes, including reaching fruit on branches too thin to support the bird's weight, intimidating rivals, and attracting mates. Surprisingly, they also help regulate body temperature. The beak is filled with blood vessels, and by controlling blood flow, the toucan can release excess heat or retain warmth as needed. This is crucial in the variable temperatures of the canopy, where mornings can be cool and afternoons sweltering. Despite their size, toucan beaks are lightweight, made of a honeycombed structure that provides strength without weight. Toucans are social birds, often seen in small flocks, calling to each other with loud, croaking sounds. To see a toucan perched among the green leaves, its beak a splash of color, is to witness one of the rainforest's most iconic sights. Macaws mate for life and can live for over 50 years. In the canopy, pairs of macaws fly together, their brilliant blue, red, and yellow feathers flashing in the sunlight. These large parrots are among the most intelligent and social birds in the rainforest. Macaws mate for life, forming bonds that can last decades. They are often seen preening each other, a behavior that strengthens their partnership. Macaws feed on fruits, nuts, and seeds, using their powerful beaks to crack open even the hardest shells. They also visit clay licks, where they eat mineral-rich soil that helps neutralize toxins from unripe fruits. In the wild, macaws can live for over 50 years, and in captivity, some have been known to reach 80. Their longevity and intelligence make them popular in the pet trade, but this has led to population declines in some species. To see macaws in the wild, flying free above the forest, is to appreciate them as they should be, wild and unburdened. Howler monkeys are among the loudest land animals. At dawn, the rainforest erupts with sound. The deep, resonant calls of howler monkeys echo through the trees, carrying for miles. These vocalizations, produced by an enlarged hyoid bone in their throats, are among the loudest sounds made by any land animal. Howler monkeys use their calls to communicate with other groups, marking territory and avoiding conflicts. Despite their volume, howlers are relatively peaceful, spending most of their day eating leaves and resting. Their slow metabolism allows them to survive on a diet that would not sustain more active monkeys. They move through the canopy with deliberate care, using their prehensile tails as a fifth limb. To hear a howler monkey's call is to feel the rainforest wake up, the sound a reminder that this is a living, breathing place, full of voices and stories. Spider monkeys use their tails like an extra hand. High in the canopy, spider monkeys swing with effortless grace. Their long limbs and prehensile tails allow them to move through the trees with remarkable agility. The tail is so strong and dexterous that it functions as an extra hand, capable of supporting the monkey's full weight while it reaches for fruit. Spider monkeys are social, living in groups that split and reunite throughout the day as they forage. They feed primarily on fruit, playing an important role in seed dispersal. As they eat, they scatter seeds across the forest, helping to regenerate the canopy. Unfortunately, spider monkeys are vulnerable to habitat loss and hunting, and many populations are in decline. To watch them leap from branch to branch, their bodies stretched out in mid-air, is to see the rainforest's acrobats at work, perfectly adapted to a life above the ground. Tapirs are ancient mammals that have remained largely unchanged for millions of years. On the forest floor, a creature that seems out of place wanders through the undergrowth. The tapir, with its sturdy body, short trunk-like snout, and hoofed feet, looks like a strange blend of pig and elephant. But tapirs are neither. They are among the most ancient mammals, with a lineage stretching back tens of millions of years. Fossil evidence shows that tapirs have remained largely unchanged, a testament to their successful design. They are herbivores, feeding on leaves, fruits, and aquatic plants. Despite their size, tapirs are excellent swimmers and often retreat to water to escape predators or cool down. They are solitary and mostly nocturnal, making them difficult to spot. To encounter a tapir is to meet a living relic, a survivor from an age when the world was very different. Their continued existence is a reminder that some forms of life are so perfectly suited to their environment that they need not change. Ocelots hunt both in trees and on the ground. In the dappled shadows of the rainforest, a spotted cat moves silently. The ocelot, a medium-sized wild cat, is a versatile predator, equally comfortable hunting in trees as on the ground. Its beautiful coat, marked with rosettes and stripes, provides excellent camouflage among the leaves and branches. Ocelots prey on small mammals, birds, reptiles, and fish, adapting their hunting style to whatever is available. They are solitary and territorial, marking their range with scent. Despite their fierce hunting prowess, ocelots are cautious around humans and are rarely seen. Their populations have been threatened by habitat loss and the fur trade, though protection efforts have helped some populations recover. To glimpse an ocelot padding through the forest is to see a predator in perfect harmony with its surroundings, a creature of stealth and beauty. Caimans lurk in rivers and wetlands as smaller relatives of crocodiles. In the rivers and swamps, caimans lie in wait. These reptiles, relatives of alligators and crocodiles, range in size from the small dwarf caiman to the massive black caiman, which can grow over 15 feet long. They are ambush predators, floating motionless at the water's surface, only their eyes and nostrils visible. When prey comes within range, they strike with explosive speed, using powerful jaws to grip and drag their meal underwater. Caimans feed on fish, birds, and mammals, playing a crucial role in controlling populations. They are cold-blooded, relying on the sun to warm their bodies, and can often be seen basking on riverbanks. Though they are formidable predators, caimans are also prey for jaguars and anacondas when they are young. To see a caiman's eyes glowing in the darkness is to be reminded that the rainforest's waters hold dangers as well as wonders. Boa constrictors can sense heat to find warm-blooded prey. Slithering through the underbrush and draped over branches, boa constrictors are among the rainforest's most effective hunters. These large snakes do not rely on venom. Instead, they use constriction, wrapping their powerful bodies around prey and squeezing until the animal suffocates. Boas have specialized heat-sensing pits near their mouths, allowing them to detect the warmth of mammals and birds even in complete darkness. This makes them deadly, efficient hunters, capable of striking with precision. Boas are found in a variety of habitats, from the forest floor to the canopy, and they are excellent swimmers. They give birth to live young, rather than laying eggs, with females producing dozens of baby snakes at once. Despite their fearsome reputation, boas are generally non-aggressive toward humans and will flee if given the chance. To encounter one is to respect the quiet power of a predator that has perfected its craft over millions of years. Spectacled bears are the only bears native to South America. High in the cloud forests and mountainous regions bordering the rainforest, a unique bear makes its home. The spectacled bear, named for the light-colored rings around its eyes, is the only bear species native to South America. Unlike their northern relatives, spectacled bears are primarily herbivorous, feeding on fruits, bromeliads, and bamboo, though they will occasionally eat small animals. They are excellent climbers, often building platforms in trees where they can rest and feed. These platforms, made of bent branches, are sometimes mistaken for nests. Spectacled bears are solitary and elusive, avoiding human contact whenever possible. Their populations are threatened by habitat loss and hunting, and they are considered vulnerable. To see a spectacled bear in the wild is a rare privilege, a glimpse of a gentle giant that has adapted to life at the edge of the rainforest. Basilisk lizards can run across water to escape predators. Along the edges of streams and ponds, a remarkable lizard makes its escape. The basilisk, often called the Jesus Christ lizard, has the astonishing ability to run across the surface of water. When threatened, it rises onto its hind legs and sprints, its large feet slapping the water so quickly that it creates pockets of air, preventing it from sinking. This ability allows it to evade predators like snakes and birds. Basilisks can run across water for distances of up to 15 feet before they begin to sink. On land, they are equally agile, climbing trees and swimming with ease. They feed on insects, small vertebrates, and plants, adapting to whatever food is available. To watch a basilisk dash across water is to witness one of nature's most impressive tricks, a small reptile defying physics in its bid for survival. Anacondas give birth to live young rather than laying eggs. Unlike most snakes, which lay eggs, anacondas give birth to live young. After a gestation period of about 6 months, a female anaconda can give birth to 20 to 40 baby snakes, each about 2 feet long. This method of reproduction is called viviparity, and it offers certain advantages. The mother can protect the developing young inside her body, keeping them safe from predators and environmental hazards. Once born, however, the baby anacondas are on their own, receiving no parental care. They must immediately begin hunting for small fish and frogs to survive. Despite the challenges, many make it to adulthood, growing larger each year. The strategy of live birth is one of many adaptations that allow anacondas to thrive in the aquatic environments of the rainforest. It is a reminder that reproduction, like everything else in nature, comes in many forms. Poison arrow frogs carry their tadpoles on their backs to water. In the rainforest, parental care takes many forms. Poison dart frogs, after laying their eggs on land, must ensure their tadpoles reach water. When the eggs hatch, the tiny tadpoles wriggle onto the parent's back, where they cling to a layer of mucus. The frog then carries them, sometimes for considerable distances, to a suitable body of water, often a bromeliad pool high in the canopy. In some species, the mother returns regularly to lay unfertilized eggs in the water for the tadpoles to eat, providing them with essential nutrition. This level of care is unusual among amphibians and demonstrates the lengths to which these small creatures will go to ensure their offspring survive. To see a frog carrying its young is to witness devotion in miniature, a parent navigating the dangers of the forest with precious cargo on its back. Tree frogs have sticky toe pads that let them cling to smooth surfaces. In the canopy, tree frogs navigate vertical worlds with ease. Their toes are equipped with specialized pads that secrete a sticky mucus, allowing them to cling to leaves, bark, and even glass. This adaptation enables them to hunt insects on smooth surfaces and escape predators by climbing to safety. Tree frogs come in a dazzling array of colors and patterns, from bright green to mottled brown, each suited to their specific habitat. Many are nocturnal, calling loudly to attract mates during the rainy season. Their calls fill the night air, a chorus that can be deafening in its intensity. Despite their small size, tree frogs are vital to the rainforest ecosystem, controlling insect populations and serving as prey for larger animals. To hold a tree frog and feel its sticky toes gripping your finger is to appreciate the small wonders of evolution. The rainforest's biodiversity includes species not yet discovered by science. Despite centuries of exploration, the rainforest continues to reveal new secrets. Scientists estimate that millions of species remain undiscovered, hidden in the canopy, beneath the soil, or in remote regions that have never been surveyed. Every year, researchers describe new species of insects, plants, amphibians, and even mammals. Some of these discoveries are made in areas thought to be well studied, proving that the rainforest's complexity still exceeds our understanding. Many new species are found in highly specialized niches, existing in such small numbers or such restricted ranges that they are easily overlooked. The realization that so much remains unknown is both humbling and exciting. It reminds us that the rainforest is not a relic of the past, but a living laboratory, constantly evolving and full of mysteries waiting to be uncovered. Some insects mimic leaves, bark, or even bird droppings for camouflage. In the rainforest, survival often depends on not being seen. Insects have evolved some of the most remarkable camouflage in the natural world. Walking sticks resemble twigs so closely that they are nearly impossible to spot. Leaf insects look exactly like the leaves they rest on, complete with veins and even holes that mimic insect damage. Some caterpillars resemble bird droppings, a disguise so unappetizing that predators ignore them entirely. These adaptations are the result of millions of years of evolution, each generation refining the illusion. For the insects, the disguise is a matter of life and death. For observers, it is a reminder of nature's ingenuity. To search for these hidden creatures is to realize that the rainforest is not just what you see, but what you overlook, a world where deception is an art form. Katydids sing by rubbing their wings together. As night falls, the rainforest comes alive with sound. Among the loudest contributors are katydids, insects that produce their calls by rubbing their wings together in a process called stridulation. Each species has its own unique song, some high-pitched and rhythmic, others slow and buzzing. These calls serve to attract mates and establish territories. To the human ear, the chorus of katydids can be overwhelming, a wall of sound that fills the darkness. But within the noise, each individual call is distinct, a signal that carries across the forest. Katydids are masters of camouflage, their leaf-like bodies blending perfectly with foliage. During the day, they remain still, nearly invisible. At night, they reveal themselves through sound, adding their voices to the rainforest's symphony. Fireflies use bioluminescence to communicate in the darkness. In the dim light of the forest floor, fireflies flicker like tiny stars. These beetles produce light through a chemical reaction in their abdomens, a process called bioluminescence. The light is used primarily for communication, with males flashing patterns to attract females. Each species has its own unique flash sequence, a code that ensures they find the right mate. The light is cold, producing almost no heat, making it one of the most efficient forms of illumination in nature. Fireflies are a reminder that even in darkness, life finds ways to communicate and connect. To watch them blink in the night is to see the forest speaking in light, a silent conversation carried on flashes of green and yellow. Bullet ants build nests in trees and defend them fiercely. High in the trees, colonies of bullet ants construct their nests from plant fibers and debris. These nests can be large, housing thousands of ants working together in coordinated effort. The ants are fiercely protective of their home, and any disturbance is met with aggressive defense. Their painful sting is a deterrent to almost any intruder, from curious mammals to rival insects. Despite their fearsome reputation, bullet ants play an important role in the ecosystem. They prey on other insects, helping to control populations, and their nests provide shelter for other small creatures. The ants' social structure is complex, with individuals performing specialized roles, from foraging to brood care. To observe a bullet ant colony is to see cooperation and defense in action, a miniature fortress in the canopy. Termites build towering mounds that can last for decades. On the forest floor and in clearings, termite mounds rise like miniature cathedrals. These structures, built from soil, saliva, and feces, can reach heights of several feet and last for decades. Inside, millions of termites work in darkness, tending fungus gardens, caring for the queen, and maintaining the complex ventilation system that keeps the colony cool. Termites are essential decomposers, breaking down dead wood and returning nutrients to the soil. Without them, the rainforest would be buried under fallen trees and branches. The mounds themselves become habitats for other creatures, including snakes, lizards, and small mammals that shelter in the chambers. To see a termite mound is to glimpse an entire civilization, built grain by grain, sustained by cooperation and instinct. The rainforest canopy is so dense that some areas remain in perpetual twilight. Beneath the towering trees, the forest exists in a world of shadows. The canopy above is so thick that sunlight struggles to penetrate, creating a dim, green-tinged light that filters through the leaves. This perpetual twilight shapes everything. Plants on the forest floor have evolved to survive with minimal light, their leaves large and dark to capture every photon. Fungi thrive in the damp, shaded conditions, their pale forms glowing faintly in the gloom. Animals navigate by sound and scent as much as by sight. For those who live here, the sun is a distant memory, glimpsed only in rare gaps where a tree has fallen. To walk through this twilight world is to feel the weight of the forest above, a living ceiling that shelters and hides in equal measure. Some vines can grow hundreds of feet long, connecting the canopy to the ground. In the rainforest, vines are the threads that stitch the forest together. Some, called lianas, can grow to hundreds of feet in length, climbing from the forest floor to the canopy and beyond. They use trees as scaffolding, wrapping around trunks and branches, sometimes binding multiple trees together. Vines provide pathways for animals, allowing monkeys and other climbers to move through the canopy without descending to the ground. They also compete with trees for sunlight, and in some cases, their weight can pull down even large trees. Despite this, vines are an essential part of the rainforest structure, adding complexity and connectivity. To see a vine stretched across the canopy is to appreciate the vertical dimension of the forest, a world where up and down are as important as north and south. Lianas can weigh down trees, sometimes causing them to collapse. While vines add beauty and structure to the rainforest, they can also be destructive. Lianas grow rapidly, wrapping around trees and reaching for the canopy. As they thicken, their weight increases, and they can become so heavy that they pull down their host tree. When a large tree falls, it often takes other trees with it, tangled together by vines. This creates a gap in the canopy, a sudden opening where sunlight floods the forest floor. These gaps are opportunities. Fast-growing plants rush to fill the space, and animals take advantage of the new resources. Over time, the gap closes as new trees grow, and the forest returns to its dense, shaded state. The cycle of growth, collapse, and renewal is constant, driven in part by the relentless growth of vines. Strangler figs eventually stand alone after their host tree decays. The life cycle of a strangler fig is a story of patience and transformation. After the host tree dies and rots away, the fig remains, its roots now forming a hollow cylinder that stands on its own. Inside this tower, you can sometimes walk, surrounded by a lattice of woody roots. The fig continues to grow, its canopy spreading wide, and it becomes a vital resource for the forest. Fig trees produce fruit year-round, providing food for countless animals when other sources are scarce. Bats, monkeys, birds, and insects all depend on figs, making these trees keystone species. To stand inside a strangler fig is to be reminded that death and life are intertwined, that from the end of one organism comes the foundation for another. Fig trees support more species than any other tree in the rainforest. Fig trees are among the most important trees in the rainforest, not because of their size or abundance, but because of their fruit. Figs produce fruit continuously throughout the year. Unlike most trees that fruit seasonally, this reliable food source supports an astonishing variety of animals. More than 1,200 species of birds and mammals are known to feed on figs, along with countless insects. Fig wasps, in particular, have a unique relationship with fig trees. Each species of fig has its own species of wasp that pollinates it. The wasp lays its eggs inside the fig, and the larvae develop there, pollinating the flowers in the process. When the new wasps emerge, they carry pollen to other figs, continuing the cycle. This mutualism is so specific that without the wasp, the fig cannot reproduce, and without the fig, the wasp cannot survive. The interdependence is complete. Fig wasps are the only pollinators for most fig species. Inside every fig fruit is a hidden world. Fig wasps, tiny and delicate, enter the fig through a small opening, crawling inside to lay their eggs. In doing so, they pollinate the flowers that line the interior. The fig provides a safe place for the wasp larvae to develop, and in return, the wasp ensures the fig's reproduction. This relationship has existed for millions of years, evolving together in a dance of mutual dependence. Some fig species have such tight openings that the wasp loses its wings and antennae squeezing through, a sacrifice it makes to reproduce. The specificity of this relationship means that each fig species depends on a single wasp species, and vice versa. It is one of nature's most intricate partnerships, hidden inside a fruit that feeds the forest. Fungi form vast underground networks that connect trees. Beneath the forest floor, an invisible network stretches through the soil. Fungi send out thread-like structures called hyphae, which intertwine with the roots of trees, forming mycorrhizal relationships. Through this network, trees can share nutrients, water, and even chemical signals. A tree with access to sunlight can send sugars to a shaded neighbor through the fungal network, while the shaded tree might share nutrients it has absorbed from the soil. This network, sometimes called the wood wide web, allows the forest to function as a single interconnected organism. Fungi are essential to this process, acting as the communication lines that link individuals into a community. To walk through the rainforest is to walk above this hidden network, a vast underground system that supports the giants above. Mycorrhizal fungi help trees absorb nutrients from poor soil. Rainforest soil is often surprisingly poor in nutrients. Organic matter decomposes so quickly that it is absorbed or washed away before it can accumulate. To survive, trees have evolved partnerships with mycorrhizal fungi. These fungi attach to tree roots, extending far into the soil and increasing the surface area for absorption. In exchange for sugars produced by the tree through photosynthesis, the fungi provide water and nutrients like phosphorus and nitrogen. This mutualism is so important that most rainforest trees cannot survive without it. The fungi, in turn, depend on the tree for energy. Together, they form a partnership that has existed for hundreds of millions of years, one of the oldest and most successful collaborations in nature. The health of the forest depends on this invisible alliance beneath the ground. Some fungi glow in the dark, creating bioluminescent displays. In the darkness of the rainforest night, some fungi emit a faint green glow. This bioluminescence is produced by a chemical reaction similar to that of fireflies. The purpose of this glow is still debated. It may attract insects that help disperse spores, or it may simply be a byproduct of the fungus's metabolism. Regardless, the effect is enchanting. Fallen logs and patches of forest floor can shimmer with a ghostly light, visible only when your eyes have fully adjusted to the dark. These glowing fungi are most common in tropical regions, where warmth and humidity provide ideal conditions. To stumble upon them is to feel as though you have entered a fairy tale, a forest lit not by fireflies but by the earth itself. They are a reminder that even in decay, there is beauty and light. Decomposers recycle 90% of the rainforest's nutrients. In the rainforest, death is not an ending, but a transformation. When a leaf falls, a tree topples, or an animal dies, decomposers immediately set to work. Fungi, bacteria, insects, and larger scavengers break down the organic matter, releasing nutrients back into the soil. Scientists estimate that 90% of the nutrients in a rainforest are recycled in this way, creating a nearly closed loop. This rapid recycling is essential because the soil itself is nutrient poor. Without decomposers, the forest would starve, unable to sustain its incredible diversity. The speed and efficiency of this process is one of the rainforest's defining characteristics. What would take years in a temperate forest happens in weeks or months here. Life and death are tightly intertwined, each feeding the other in an endless cycle. Rainforests absorb massive amounts of carbon dioxide, helping to regulate the climate. Rainforests are often called the lungs of the earth, but they are also its carbon vaults. Trees absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere during photosynthesis, using the carbon to build their trunks, branches, and leaves. A single large tree can store several tons of carbon over its lifetime. Across the entire Amazon, billions of trees lock away hundreds of billions of tons of carbon, keeping it out of the atmosphere where it would contribute to global warming. When trees are cut down or burned, this carbon is released, accelerating climate change. Protecting rainforests is not just about preserving biodiversity. It is about maintaining the balance of gases in our atmosphere. The forest breathes with us, and its health is tied to the health of the entire planet. Indigenous peoples have lived in rainforests for thousands of years. Long before scientists began studying the rainforest, people lived there, learning its rhythms and secrets. Indigenous communities have inhabited rainforests for thousands of years, developing deep knowledge of the plants, animals, and ecosystems around them. They know which plants can heal and which are poisonous, where to find food, and how to move through the forest without leaving a trace. This knowledge, passed down through generations, is invaluable. Many modern medicines have their origins in plants used by indigenous healers. Today, indigenous peoples are some of the rainforest's most effective guardians, protecting vast areas from deforestation and degradation. Their connection to the land is not just practical but spiritual, viewing the forest as a living entity deserving of respect. To ignore their knowledge is to ignore millennia of accumulated wisdom. Traditional knowledge includes uses for thousands of rainforest plants. Indigenous peoples have identified and utilized thousands of rainforest plants for food, medicine, shelter, and tools. They know which bark can be brewed into a tea to reduce fever, which leaves can be wrapped around wounds to prevent infection, and which seeds can be ground into flour. This pharmacopoeia represents an incredible depth of knowledge, accumulated through observation and experimentation over countless generations. Modern science has only begun to catalogue these uses, and many remain undocumented. Some of the most important drugs in modern medicine, including quinine for malaria and compounds used in cancer treatment, were derived from rainforest plants first used by indigenous peoples. Their knowledge is a treasure, one that is at risk of being lost as languages disappear and traditional ways of life are disrupted. Ayahuasca is a traditional plant medicine used in spiritual ceremonies. In the Western Amazon, indigenous communities have long used a brew called ayahuasca in spiritual and healing ceremonies. The brew is made from two plants, a vine and a shrub, which together produce a powerful psychoactive effect. Those who drink it often report visions, emotional insights, and a sense of connection to the natural world. Shamans, or healers, guide participants through the experience, using songs and rituals to shape the journey. In recent years, ayahuasca has gained attention outside the rainforest, with people traveling from around the world to participate in ceremonies. While it holds deep cultural and spiritual significance for indigenous peoples, its commercialization raises ethical questions. For those who approach it with respect, it offers a window into a different way of understanding the rainforest and our place within it. Curare poison was used by hunters and later inspired medical anesthetics. For centuries, indigenous hunters in the Amazon used a poison called curare on the tips of their arrows and darts. Derived from several different plants, curare paralyzes muscles, allowing hunters to bring down prey without damaging the meat. The knowledge of how to prepare curare was closely guarded, passed down through generations. In the 20th century, Western scientists became interested in curare, recognizing its potential medical applications. Compounds derived from curare are now used as muscle relaxants during surgery, allowing doctors to perform delicate operations. This is one of many examples of how indigenous knowledge has contributed to modern medicine. The plants themselves are still studied, and researchers continue to discover new uses. What was once a hunting tool has become a life-saving drug, a bridge between ancient wisdom and contemporary science. Rubber trees produce latex that changed global industry. In the heart of the Amazon grows a tree that transformed the modern world. The rubber tree produces a milky sap called latex, which indigenous people used for centuries to make waterproof clothing and balls. In the 19th century, the demand for rubber exploded with the invention of the pneumatic tire and other industrial applications. The Amazon became the center of a rubber boom, with vast fortunes made and lost. Eventually, rubber seeds were smuggled out of Brazil and planted in Southeast Asia, breaking the Amazon's monopoly. Today, synthetic rubber has replaced much of the natural product, but the rainforest's rubber trees remain, a reminder of how a single species can reshape economies and societies. The latex still flows, harvested by tapping the bark, a renewable resource if managed sustainably. Brazil nuts can only be pollinated by a specific bee species. In the rainforest, some relationships are so specific that the survival of one species depends entirely on another. The Brazil nut tree, a towering giant that can live for over 500 years, produces large, hard-shelled fruits filled with the nuts we know. But these trees can only be pollinated by a particular species of orchid bee. The bees are attracted to the scent of certain orchids, which they need to attract mates. Without the orchids, the bees cannot reproduce. Without the bees, the Brazil nut trees cannot produce fruit. And without the forest, with its diversity of plants and insects, the entire system collapses. This intricate web of dependencies is typical of the rainforest, where every species is connected to others in ways that are often invisible. The Brazil nut is not just a food, but a symbol of the complexity that sustains the forest. Cacao trees grow in the rainforest understory, giving us chocolate. In the shaded understory of the rainforest, a small tree produces one of the world's most beloved foods. The cacao tree bears fruit directly on its trunk and branches, large pods filled with beans surrounded by sweet pulp. Indigenous peoples fermented and roasted these beans, creating a bitter drink that was central to their ceremonies and trade. When Europeans encountered cacao, they added sugar, creating the chocolate we know today. Most of the world's chocolate still comes from cacao grown in tropical rainforests. Though much of it is now cultivated in plantations, wild cacao trees still grow in the Amazon, part of the forest's incredible diversity. To taste chocolate is to taste the rainforest, a reminder that many of the flavors we take for granted have their origins in these green depths. Many fruits we eat originated in rainforests, including bananas and pineapples. The rainforest is a cradle of diversity, not just for wildlife, but for the plants we eat. Bananas, pineapples, mangoes, papayas, and countless other fruits all have their origins in tropical forests. Wild relatives of these crops still grow in the rainforest, preserving genetic diversity that could be crucial for future breeding. As climates change and new diseases emerge, scientists turn to these wild plants for traits like drought resistance or pest tolerance. The rainforest is not just a source of biodiversity, but a living library of genetic information, one that we have only begun to explore. Every fruit on our table connects us to the forest, a reminder that our food systems are built on the wealth of tropical ecosystems. Deforestation threatens rainforests at an alarming rate. Despite their importance, rainforests are disappearing. Every year, vast areas are cleared for agriculture, logging, and development. The Amazon alone loses thousands of square miles annually, with the pace accelerating in recent years. This deforestation has devastating consequences. Species are driven to extinction, carbon stored in trees is released into the atmosphere, and indigenous communities lose their homes. The effects ripple outward, altering weather patterns and reducing rainfall in regions far from the forest itself. Once a rainforest is cleared, it is difficult, often impossible, to fully restore. The soil erodes, the seed bank is depleted, and the complex relationships that sustain the ecosystem are broken. Protecting what remains is urgent, not just for the forest's inhabitants, but for the entire planet. The rainforest's fate is intertwined with our own. Logging and agriculture are the primary drivers of forest loss. The destruction of rainforests is driven primarily by economic pressures. Logging companies cut down valuable hardwood trees, selling the timber for furniture and construction. Once the largest trees are gone, the land is often cleared entirely for agriculture. Cattle ranching, soy farming, and palm oil plantations replace diverse forests with monocultures, barren landscapes that support only a fraction of the original biodiversity. Small-scale farming also contributes, as communities clear land for crops. While these activities provide livelihoods, they are often unsustainable, leading to soil degradation and abandonment within a few years. The challenge is to find ways to meet human needs without destroying the forest. Sustainable forestry, agroforestry, and protecting large reserves are part of the solution, but they require political will and economic support. The forest can provide for us, but only if we learn to use it wisely. Some areas of rainforest are protected as national parks and reserves. Not all rainforests are being destroyed. Around the world, governments and conservation organizations have established protected areas, setting aside land where logging and development are prohibited. National parks, biological reserves, and indigenous territories cover millions of acres, preserving critical habitats and biodiversity. These protected areas are not just empty spaces. They are home to communities that depend on the forest, and they provide ecosystem services like clean water, climate regulation, and carbon storage that benefit everyone. Enforcement is a challenge, as illegal logging and poaching still occur, but the existence of these reserves is a crucial step in safeguarding the rainforest for future generations. The success of these protected areas shows that when we commit to conservation, forests can endure. Ecotourism provides economic incentives to preserve forests. One way to protect rainforests is to make them more valuable standing than cut down. Ecotourism offers this opportunity. Visitors from around the world pay to experience the rainforest, staying in lodges, hiring guides, and supporting local communities. This creates jobs and income that depend on keeping the forest intact. Guides lead tours through the canopy, pointing out birds and monkeys. Lodges are built with minimal environmental impact, blending into the forest. The money generated can rival or exceed what would be made from logging or farming, providing a sustainable alternative. Of course, ecotourism must be managed carefully to avoid damaging the ecosystems it seeks to protect. But when done right, it demonstrates that the forest has economic value beyond its trees and land, that its beauty and biodiversity are resources in themselves. Reforestation efforts aim to restore damaged areas. In some places, efforts are underway to bring the rainforest back. Reforestation projects plant native trees in areas that have been cleared, attempting to restore what was lost. These efforts face significant challenges. Rainforest soils are often degraded, and without the diverse community of plants, fungi, and animals, young trees struggle to survive. Seeds must be collected from remaining forests, and seedlings must be protected from pests and weather. Despite the difficulties, some projects have shown success, with forests beginning to recover after decades of growth. Natural regeneration, where the forest is simply left alone, can also be effective, especially if patches of original forest remain nearby to provide seeds and wildlife. Restoring a rainforest is a slow process, taking decades or even centuries, but it is not impossible. Every tree planted is a step toward healing. Secondary forests can recover much of their original diversity over time. When a rainforest is cleared but then abandoned, nature begins to reclaim the land. Pioneer species, fast-growing plants adapted to disturbed conditions, are the first to appear. Within a few years, a tangle of vegetation covers the ground. Over decades, larger trees emerge, and the canopy begins to close. This is called a secondary forest, and while it may never fully replicate the original, it can support a surprising amount of biodiversity. Animals return, drawn by new food sources and shelter. Fungi and bacteria re-establish in the soil. After a century or more, a secondary forest can be difficult to distinguish from a primary one, at least to the untrained eye. This resilience is a source of hope, showing that the rainforest can recover if given the chance. But it also underscores the importance of protecting what remains. Primary forests, with their ancient trees and complex relationships, are irreplaceable in our lifetimes. Climate change is altering rainfall patterns in rainforests. The rainforest is not immune to the broader changes affecting our planet. Climate change is shifting rainfall patterns, bringing longer droughts and more intense storms. These changes stress trees, making them more vulnerable to disease and fire. In some areas, the dry season has lengthened, and forests that once were too wet to burn are now at risk. When fires occur, they can spread rapidly, consuming vast areas. The loss of trees releases stored carbon, accelerating warming in a vicious cycle. At the same time, changes in temperature and rainfall can alter the timing of flowering and fruiting, disrupting the relationships between plants and the animals that depend on them. The rainforest has endured for millions of years, but the speed of current changes is unprecedented. How the forest will adapt, or whether it can, remains uncertain. Fires, once rare, are becoming more common in some rainforest regions. Traditionally, rainforests are too wet to burn. The humidity and dense vegetation prevent fires from spreading. But as droughts become more frequent and severe, this is changing. In recent years, fires have swept through parts of the Amazon that had never burned before. These fires are often started by humans, either intentionally to clear land or accidentally. Once started, they can burn for weeks, consuming trees, animals, and soil. The smoke travels thousands of miles, affecting air quality across continents. After a fire, the forest is left scarred, and recovery is slow. Burned areas are more likely to burn again as the canopy is opened and drier conditions persist. The increase in fires is a warning sign, an indication that the resilience of the rainforest is being tested. Preventing fires and managing land use are critical to protecting these ecosystems. Some rainforest species are already adapting to changing conditions. Life is remarkably adaptable, and in the face of changing conditions, some rainforest species are already shifting. Birds are moving to higher elevations where temperatures are cooler. Plants are adjusting the timing of their flowering to match new rainfall patterns. Animals are expanding their ranges, seeking out new habitats as old ones become less suitable. These adaptations are not without cost. Not all species can move quickly enough, and some may find themselves trapped, unable to reach suitable conditions. Competition for resources increases as species crowd into shrinking areas of favorable habitat. Evolution can help species adapt over long timescales, but the pace of current changes may be too fast for many. Still, the fact that some species are responding gives a glimmer of hope. Life, as it has done for billions of years, is finding ways to persist. Scientists study rainforests to understand complex ecosystems. Rainforests are natural laboratories, offering insights into how ecosystems function. Scientists from around the world travel to these forests to study everything from the behavior of ants to the chemistry of soils. They climb into the canopy, wade through swamps, and spend months in remote field stations, all to understand the intricate relationships that sustain the forest. This research is not just academic. It has practical applications, from developing new medicines to understanding how ecosystems respond to disturbance. The complexity of rainforests makes them ideal for studying biodiversity, evolution, and ecology. Every discovery raises new questions, revealing how much we still have to learn. The rainforest is a library of knowledge, written in the language of life itself. New species are discovered in rainforests every year. Despite centuries of exploration, rainforests continue to surprise us. Every year, scientists describe dozens, sometimes hundreds, of new species. These discoveries range from tiny insects to larger mammals, from fungi to plants. Some are found in remote areas that have never been thoroughly surveyed. Others have been hiding in plain sight, overlooked because they are so similar to known species. The rate of discovery shows how much biodiversity remains uncatalogued. It also highlights the urgency of conservation. Many of these newly discovered species are already at risk. their habitats threatened by deforestation and climate change. Each new find is a reminder that the rainforest holds secrets we have yet to uncover, and that we may lose them before we even know they exist. Canopy cranes allow researchers to access the treetops safely. Studying the rainforest canopy was once a dangerous endeavor, requiring researchers to climb trees or construct rickety platforms. Today, canopy cranes offer a safer and more efficient way to access the treetops. These tall structures, similar to construction cranes, are built in the forest and allow scientists to ride in a gondola that moves through the canopy. From this vantage point, they can observe birds nesting, collect insect specimens, and study epiphytes growing on branches. The cranes provide access to areas that would otherwise be unreachable, opening up new possibilities for research. They have revealed the incredible richness of canopy life, showing that the treetops are as diverse and complex as any other part of the forest. The view from a canopy crane is a reminder that the rainforest is a vertical world, and understanding it requires looking up. Drones are now used to map and monitor remote forest areas. Technology is transforming how we study and protect rainforests. Drones equipped with cameras and sensors can fly over vast areas, capturing images and data that would take weeks to collect on foot. They can map forest structure, identify individual tree species, and detect illegal logging or fires in real time. This information is invaluable for conservation, allowing authorities to respond quickly to threats. Drones can also reach areas that are inaccessible to humans, providing a view of the forest that was once impossible. Combined with satellite imagery and computer analysis, drones are helping us understand the rainforest at a scale and resolution never before possible. They are tools that extend our reach, allowing us to be better stewards of the forest. Satellite imagery reveals the extent of deforestation in real time. From space, the rainforest appears as a vast expanse of green, but satellites can see more than just color. They detect changes in forest cover, identifying areas where trees have been cut down. This information is updated regularly, providing a near real-time view of deforestation. Conservation organizations and governments use this data to monitor protected areas, enforce laws, and plan interventions. Satellites can also track the health of the forest, measuring things like canopy density and moisture levels. This bird's-eye view is essential for understanding the scale of threats facing rainforests and for coordinating responses. The images are sobering, showing the pace of loss, but they also empower action, providing the information needed to protect what remains. Acoustic monitoring captures the sounds of the forest to study biodiversity. The rainforest is never silent. It hums, chirps, buzzes, and calls with the voices of countless creatures. Scientists have begun using acoustic monitoring to study biodiversity, placing microphones in the forest to record these sounds continuously. Computer algorithms then analyze the recordings, identifying species by their calls. This method is non-invasive and can capture data 24 hours a day, revealing patterns of activity that would be difficult to observe directly. It is especially useful for studying nocturnal animals and species that are hard to see. Acoustic monitoring can also detect changes in the ecosystem, such as the decline of certain species or the arrival of new ones. The soundscape of the forest is a window into its health and diversity, a symphony that tells the story of life in the canopy and on the ground. The rainforest is often called the world's largest pharmacy. For thousands of years, people have turned to the rainforest for medicine. The incredible diversity of plants has produced a corresponding diversity of chemical compounds, many of which have medicinal properties. Today, scientists estimate that the rainforest contains plants that could treat diseases we have yet to cure. Already, compounds derived from rainforest plants are used to treat malaria, cancer, heart disease, and many other conditions. The rosy periwinkle, a plant from Madagascar's rainforest, has saved countless lives by providing compounds used in chemotherapy. Researchers continue to study rainforest plants, searching for new drugs. But as the forest disappears, so do these potential cures. Preserving the rainforest is not just about protecting nature. It is about safeguarding resources that could heal humanity. Quinine, derived from cinchona bark, revolutionized malaria treatment. One of the most important medicines to come from the rainforest is quinine. For centuries, indigenous people in South America used the bark of the cinchona tree to treat fevers. When European colonizers learned of this remedy, they brought it back to the Old World, where it became the first effective treatment for malaria. Quinine allowed Europeans to survive in tropical regions, changing the course of history. Today, synthetic drugs have largely replaced quinine, but it is still used in some treatments and remains a symbol of the rainforest's medicinal potential. The story of quinine shows how knowledge from indigenous peoples can transform medicine and underscores the importance of preserving both the forests and the cultures that understand them. Vincristine and vinblastine from the rosy periwinkle treat cancer. In the rainforests of Madagascar, a small plant with delicate flowers holds powerful medicine. The rosy periwinkle produces compounds called vincristine and vinblastine, which are used to treat childhood leukemia and Hodgkin's lymphoma. Before these drugs were discovered, these cancers were often fatal. Now, survival rates have improved dramatically, thanks to compounds that evolved in a tropical plant. The discovery of the rosy periwinkle's properties was accidental, the result of researchers screening plants for medicinal compounds. It is a reminder that we do not know what other cures are waiting to be found in the rainforest. Every plant that disappears is a potential medicine lost forever. Many modern drugs originated from compounds found in rainforest plants. Beyond quinine and cancer treatments, the rainforest has given us a wealth of medicines. Pain relievers, antibiotics, anti-inflammatory drugs, and treatments for heart disease all have origins in rainforest plants. The diversity of life in these ecosystems has led to a corresponding diversity of chemical defenses, as plants evolve compounds to deter herbivores and pathogens. These same compounds can be medicinal for humans. Pharmaceutical companies and research institutions continue to explore the rainforest, but the process is slow and difficult. Identifying promising plants, isolating compounds, and testing them for efficacy takes years. Meanwhile, Habitats are being destroyed faster than they can be studied. The race to discover new medicines is also a race against time. Ethnobotanists work with indigenous healers to document plant knowledge. Ethnobotany is the study of how people use plants. And in the rainforest, this often means working with indigenous healers. These healers possess deep knowledge of the plants around them, knowledge passed down through generations. Ethnobotanists document this information, recording which plants are used for what purposes and how they are prepared. This work is a collaboration, respecting the expertise of indigenous peoples while also contributing to scientific understanding. Some of this knowledge has led to important medical discoveries, but there are ethical questions about who benefits. Indigenous communities should be partners in research, not just sources of information, and they should share in any profits that result from their knowledge. Ethnobotany is a bridge between traditional and modern medicine, one that requires respect, equity, and reciprocity. Rainforest frogs produce toxins that inspire new pain medications. The bright colors of poison dart frogs are a warning, signaling the presence of powerful toxins in their skin. These toxins are deadly to predators, but in controlled doses, they have medicinal potential. Researchers have studied the compounds produced by these frogs, finding that some can block pain more effectively than morphine, without the risk of addiction. One compound, derived from a frog found in Ecuador, is being developed as a painkiller for use in surgery and chronic pain management. The frogs themselves do not produce the toxins, but acquire them from the insects they eat. This means that the entire food web, from plants to insects to frogs, contributes to the creation of these compounds. The discovery of frog-derived painkillers is another example of how the rainforest's complexity can yield unexpected benefits. Rainforests regulate regional and global weather patterns. The influence of rainforests extends far beyond their borders. Through transpiration, they release vast amounts of water vapor into the atmosphere, which forms clouds and eventually falls as rain, not just over the forest, but in distant regions. The Amazon, for example, helps to regulate rainfall across South America, influencing agriculture and water supplies in areas hundreds of miles away. When large sections of forest are removed, these patterns can shift, leading to droughts in some areas and floods in others. On a global scale, rainforests help stabilize the climate by absorbing carbon dioxide and moderating temperatures. They are part of the Earth's climate system, and their destruction has consequences that ripple across the planet. Protecting rainforests is not just a local concern, but a global imperative. The Amazon influences rainfall as far away as North America. The water that evaporates from the Amazon rainforest does not just stay in South America. It travels through the atmosphere, carried by winds across continents. Some of this moisture eventually falls as rain in North America, contributing to the water cycle that sustains agriculture and ecosystems there. This connection, known as an atmospheric river, links the health of the Amazon to climates thousands of miles away. It is a reminder that the Earth's systems are interconnected, that what happens in one place affects the whole. When we protect the rainforest, we are not just preserving a distant ecosystem, we are safeguarding the stability of our own climate and water supplies. The Amazon is not just South America's rainforest. It is a global resource. Cloud forests are high-altitude rainforests, perpetually shrouded in mist. In the mountains of the tropics, a different kind of rainforest exists. Cloud forests are found at elevations where clouds form, wrapping the trees in a perpetual mist. These forests are cooler and often even wetter than lowland rainforests, with moisture condensing directly onto leaves and dripping to the ground. The trees are covered in mosses, ferns, and epiphytes, giving them a shaggy, ancient appearance. Cloud forests are incredibly biodiverse, home to many species found nowhere else. They are also critical sources of fresh water, as the mist they capture feeds rivers that supply communities downstream. Despite their importance, cloud forests are among the most threatened ecosystems, vulnerable to climate change and deforestation. As temperatures rise, the clouds are lifting to higher elevations, and some cloud forests are literally drying out, losing the mist that defines them. Tropical rainforests exist in Southeast Asia, Africa, and Central America. When people think of rainforests, the Amazon often comes to mind, but tropical rainforests are found on every continent except Antarctica. Southeast Asia is home to vast rainforests in Indonesia, Malaysia, and Thailand, rich with orangutans, tigers, and countless plant species. Africa's Congo Basin holds the second largest rainforest in the world, a haven for gorillas, elephants, and okapi. Central America's rainforests, though smaller, are incredibly diverse, bridging North and South America and hosting species from both. Each of these regions has its own unique character, shaped by geography, climate, and evolutionary history. They share common features, like high rainfall and incredible biodiversity, but they are also distinct, each a world unto itself. Together, they represent the crown jewels of Earth's terrestrial ecosystems. The Congo Basin is the second largest rainforest in the world. In the heart of Africa lies a vast green expanse, the Congo Basin Rainforest. Covering over 700 million acres, it is second in size only to the Amazon. The Congo is less well known, but no less important. It is home to forest elephants, lowland gorillas, bonobos, and thousands of other species. The rivers that flow through it are among the deepest in the world, and the forest itself plays a crucial role in regulating Africa's climate. Indigenous communities have lived in the Congo for millennia, developing ways of life intimately connected to the forest. Today, the region faces threats from logging, mining, and agriculture, but it remains one of the most intact large rainforests on Earth. Protecting the Congo is essential, not just for Africa but for the entire planet, as it stores vast amounts of carbon and supports unparalleled biodiversity. Borneo and Sumatra hold some of the oldest rainforests on Earth. On the islands of Borneo and Sumatra, rainforests have stood for over 100 million years, making them some of the oldest on the planet. These ancient forests have weathered ice ages and volcanic eruptions, serving as refuges for life when other regions became inhospitable. Today, they are home to orangutans, pygmy elephants, Sumatran tigers, and the strange, long-nosed proboscis monkey. The forests are also incredibly rich in plant life, with thousands of species found nowhere else. Unfortunately, these forests are under severe threat from palm oil plantations, which have replaced vast areas of forest with monocultures. The orangutans, emblematic of these forests, have seen their populations plummet as their habitat disappears. Conservation efforts are underway, but the pace of destruction is alarming. These ancient forests, survivors of deep time, are now at risk in our own. Madagascar's rainforests are home to species found nowhere else on Earth. Off the coast of Africa lies Madagascar, an island that has been isolated for over 80 million years. In that time, life there has evolved in unique directions, producing species found nowhere else. Lemurs, the island's most famous inhabitants, come in dozens of forms, from the tiny mouse lemur to the acrobatic sifaka. The rainforests of Madagascar also host chameleons, frogs, and plants that dazzle with their strangeness. The baobab trees, with their swollen trunks, seem almost alien. This island is a showcase of evolution's creativity, a place where isolation has led to extraordinary diversity. Sadly, Madagascar's forests have been heavily cleared, and many species are now endangered. Conservation on the island is critical, not just for Madagascar but for preserving unique branches of the tree of life that exist nowhere else. Mangrove forests thrive where rainforest meets the sea. At the edges of tropical coasts, where the rainforest meets the ocean, a unique ecosystem takes root. Mangrove forests grow in salty, waterlogged soils, conditions that would kill most trees. Mangroves have adapted with specialized roots that rise above the water, allowing them to breathe, and salt filtering systems that keep seawater from poisoning them. These forests provide critical habitat for fish, crabs, and shrimp, serving as nurseries for many species that later move to coral reefs or the open ocean. They also protect coastlines from storms and erosion, their roots stabilizing sediments and buffering the impact of waves. Mangroves are among the most productive ecosystems on Earth, storing carbon at rates even higher than rainforests. Despite their importance, they are being cleared for shrimp farms and coastal development. Protecting mangroves is essential for both marine and terrestrial life. Rainforests once covered 14% of Earth's land, now only 6%. Millions of years ago, rainforests stretched across much of the tropics, covering an area twice as large as they do today. As climates shifted and human populations grew, these forests shrank. Today, they occupy only about 6% of the Earth's land surface, down from 14% just a few centuries ago. The loss has been driven by agriculture, logging, and development, with the pace accelerating in recent decades. This reduction is not just a loss of trees, but of biodiversity, ecosystem services, and cultural heritage. The remaining rainforests are precious fragments of a once vast green world. Protecting them is one of the great challenges of our time, requiring global cooperation and a commitment to sustainability. What remains is irreplaceable, a living connection to Earth's past and a foundation for its future. Some researchers believe the Amazon could become a savanna, If deforestation continues, the Amazon rainforest has a tipping point, a threshold beyond which it may not be able to sustain itself. Scientists estimate that if 20 to 25% of the forest is lost, the remaining trees may not generate enough rainfall to support a rainforest climate. Instead, the region could shift to a drier ecosystem, a savanna, or degraded scrubland. This transformation would release enormous amounts of carbon, accelerating global warming and causing a cascade of ecological collapses. Some areas of the Amazon are already showing signs of stress, with longer dry seasons and increased tree mortality. The tipping point may be closer than we think. Preventing this catastrophe requires halting deforestation and restoring degraded areas. The fate of the Amazon, and by extension the global climate, hangs in the balance. International agreements aim to protect and restore forests. Recognizing the global importance of rainforests, countries have come together to negotiate agreements aimed at their protection. Treaties like the Paris Agreement include commitments to reduce deforestation and restore degraded lands. Some nations have pledged to end deforestation by 2030, while others have committed funds to conservation efforts. These agreements are a start, but implementation is challenging. Political will can shift, and economic pressures often outweigh environmental concerns. Still, the fact that rainforests are on the international agenda is significant. It reflects a growing understanding that forests are not just national resources but global assets. Success will require cooperation, funding, and accountability, but the frameworks are in place. The question is whether we will act quickly enough. Carbon offset programs fund rainforest conservation. One way to finance rainforest protection is through carbon offset programs. Companies and individuals can pay to preserve forests, with the understanding that the trees will continue to absorb carbon dioxide, offsetting emissions elsewhere. The money supports conservation projects, provides livelihoods for local communities, and ensures that forests are worth more standing than cut down. While carbon offsets are not a perfect solution, they can be part of a broader strategy to protect forests. Critics argue that they allow polluters to avoid reducing their own emissions, but proponents say that they provide much-needed funding for conservation. As with many environmental tools, the effectiveness depends on implementation. Well-designed offset programs with strong monitoring and enforcement can make a real difference in protecting rainforests. Sustainable forestry practices allow for timber harvesting without destruction. Forests can provide resources without being destroyed, but it requires a different approach. Sustainable forestry involves selective logging, where only certain trees are cut, leaving the rest of the forest intact. This allows the forest to regenerate naturally, maintaining its structure and biodiversity. Trees are harvested at a rate that does not exceed growth, ensuring a continuous supply of timber. Certification programs, like the Forest Stewardship Council, help consumers identify wood products that come from sustainably managed forests. These practices contrast sharply with clear cutting, where entire areas are stripped of trees. Sustainable forestry is more labor-intensive and less immediately profitable, but it preserves the forest for future generations. It shows that we can meet our needs without sacrificing the ecosystems that sustain us. Agroforestry integrates trees into agricultural landscapes. Rather than clearing forests to make way for farms, agroforestry integrates the two. Trees are planted alongside crops or used to provide shade for coffee and cacao. The trees stabilize soil, provide habitat for wildlife, and can even produce their own harvest of fruit, nuts, or timber. This approach mimics the structure of the forest, creating a more diverse and resilient landscape. Agroforestry systems are more sustainable than monocultures, requiring fewer chemical inputs and supporting more biodiversity. They also provide multiple income streams for farmers, reducing economic risk. In regions where rainforest has been cleared, agroforestry offers a way to restore some of the forest's functions while still producing food. It is a middle path, a way to live with the forest rather than against it. The future of rainforests depends on the choices we make today. The rainforest stands at a crossroads. Its future is not yet written, and the outcome depends on decisions being made now. Will we continue to clear forests for short-term gain, or will we recognize their long-term value? Will we protect the biodiversity that took millions of years to evolve, or will we allow it to vanish in a generation? The choices are ours, as individuals, communities, and nations. Every product we buy, every vote we cast, every conversation we have about the environment contributes to the outcome. The rainforest is resilient, but it is not invincible. It needs advocates, protectors, and stewards. The hope is that we will rise to the challenge, that future generations will inherit a world still graced by these magnificent forests. The story of the rainforest is not over. The next chapter is being written now. And so, dear listener, our journey through the wonders of the rainforest comes to a close. From the towering emergent trees to the hidden life beneath the soil, from the calls of howler monkeys to the silent growth of strangler figs, we have wandered together through a tapestry of green and gold, life and death, mystery and revelation. We have glimpsed the incredible diversity that fills every layer of the forest, felt the connections that bind species together, and traced the threads that link the rainforest to the entire planet. The forest reminds us that life is resilient, creative, and endlessly surprising. It shows us both the fragility of complex systems and their capacity to endure. Every leaf, every creature, every drop of rain is part of a story that has unfolded over millions of years, a story that continues in every moment. As you lie here, letting your breath fall into an easy rhythm, imagine yourself beneath the canopy. Picture the soft light filtering through 1,000 shades of green, the humid air thick with the scent of earth and growth. Hear the distant call of a bird, the rustle of leaves as a monkey moves overhead, the gentle patter of rain on broad leaves. See the forest in all its layers, from the shadowed floor to the sunlit crowns of giants, all connected, all alive, all breathing together. The rainforest has carried countless generations of life, and it will carry countless more if we let it. Its story is not finished, and in gazing into its depths, neither is ours. Just as night brings rest to the forest, every waking thought drifts gently into sleep. If you happen to still be awake, you can go ahead and watch the next video when you are ready. But if your eyes are growing heavy, let the quiet of the rainforest hold you and carry you softly into rest. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and drift into sleep, into stillness, into the vast and timeless green, where life itself keeps watch. Good night.